Earlier this year, when we went up to Devil's Fork State Park, we had a little bit of time that we could take a side excursion, so we decided we'd go to the Battle of Musgrove Mill. It's an amazing historic site that was pivotal in the war for our independence. So we thought we'd share what we experienced. We hope you enjoy. On our way up to Devil's Fork State Park, since we stayed in Newberry at the KOA, we had a couple hours where we could make a side trip on our way up, and we decided to go check out the Battle of Musgrove Mill State Historic Site just off of I-26 in Clinton, South Carolina. That's right, it's called Clinton, not Clinton, for those of y'all that don't know. So as you get off the interstate, I think it's about 4 miles off the interstate on the north side. It's a really neat historic site. There's not a whole lot there as far as things to do, but you get to explore the history of that site. On August 19th, 1780, there was a battle there between about 200 to 300 patriots and about 500 loyalists. There was a grain mill right there at the Inouye River, and the loyalists controlled it. That meant they controlled the food supply for the area, and the patriots really needed to try and get control of that food supply back. So they had come thinking that they were going to be taking on about an equal number of soldiers, but the loyalists had just sent about 200 to 300 extra troops up from Camden. They had just won at Camden and sent some troops over to Musgrove Mill and kind of caught the patriots by surprise. So they wound up kind of doing a rope-a-dope. They kind of tricked them to come follow them into the area that they had prepared for battle. And it's really neat that you can go walk through those sites and see the history of it. There's one building there. It's kind of an office slash store slash museum. There's a little bit of everything in this building. It's got a nice deck that kind of looks out over the lawn of where the mill used to sit. When you go into that building, you can see there's a large three-dimensional map of what the facility, of what the grounds looked like back then. And there's actually little lights in there, and there's a voice that will kind of narrate the story of how the battle took place. And you can see the lights light up as the soldiers moved, how they kind of moved around in preparation for the battle, and then when the battle finally did happen. It's really neat. There's also some artifacts in there. There's a part of a millstone. There's some clothing that was appropriate to the era. There's some artifacts they found when they did excavation on the site. And there's also some firearms there that would have been used in the battle. So you kind of learn a lot about what happened there at that site. And I would suggest, if you're in the area, it's a neat little learning experience. I learned a lot. There's several trails that take you around. Horseshoe Falls on the Inouye River is able to be accessed from a trail. Unfortunately, that trailhead is on the other side of the river, and you have to get in your car and drive around. And the ranger told us that because we had our camper with us, we couldn't get over there, so we couldn't access the trail to make it to the waterfall. But if you don't have a trailer, it sounds like that's going to be really worth the trip. I'm going to try and find some pictures, if I can find some legal pictures I can share online and get them posted here so you can see what it looks like. After the battle was over, the Loyalists lost 63. They had 70 captured. The Patriots only lost 4 with 12 wounded. So it was an amazing victory for the Patriots. And as I mentioned, Camden had just fallen, so this was a nice boost for the Patriots. These soldiers then kind of backed up and went back up to the Appalachian Mountains and regathered, joined some folks that came down and met them from Virginia, and they wound up on October 7th, 1780, going into the Battle of Kings Mountain, which is outside of Blacksburg, South Carolina, at the South Carolina-North Carolina border, which is another South Carolina state park, which we're going to be going to visit next year. Once again, if you're passing by, it's a great piece of history and well worth the visit.